here, what I would like to do is get a picture of the flag with the house behind it, so they can use it for, send it out to the newspapers or the TV stations for future use, to advertise Todd's Inheritance. This has always been, to me, a special place. Been at Fort McHenry almost 50 years now. I retired a few years ago, but I live about a 10-minute walk from the park, and I usually every weekend trying to help tell the story. But this is a special story here, and I wish more people knew about the significance of Todd's Inheritance. This is where the Battle of Baltimore began, right here, and this is where it would end. And so that's the dramatic story of Todd's Inheritance and the Battle of Patapsco Neck. Not the Battle of North Point. North Point is that way. It's the Battle of Patapsco Neck. So that's the words I've been using recently to describe the story of the War of 1812 here in Maryland, which continues to fascinate me. So I spend most of my time looking for news stories to tell about individuals who have gotten lost in the story of the flag, anthem, and key. So there's a lot more to the story than that. One of the things I will share with you now is it's going to be published in one of the local newspapers in Baltimore. Trying to get the Historical Society to publish it. Is the Francis Scott Key buoy. It's in the wrong place. And how that came about in 1914, as they were getting ready to celebrate the centennial of the nation, that was the story that was handed down since the pre-Civil War days from the Nicholson family. And somehow Key's vessel, which we now know the name of it, Stephen Decatur, is one of the fastest sloops available at the time, brand new. The Department of State hired the ship out of Baltimore. It's the Norfolk-Baltimore packet line. They ran from Baltimore to Norfolk, Virginia, and the State Department contacted the Ferguson brothers, who owned a fleet of these little transit vessels, carried passengers and mail back up and down the Chesapeake Bay, and they gave one of the vessels to the State Department for temporary use to carry Francis Scott Key and Colonel John Skinner, who's the prisoner of war exchange agent for the U.S. government. He's the important guy, Colonel John Skinner. And he's the one that goes out to correspond with the British Navy or the British officers. He's the go-between man between London and Washington, D.C. So he's out there on the Chesapeake Bay almost weekly conversing with the British admirals about the campaign in the Chesapeake Bay. So Colonel John Skinner is the key to all this. Key is along for the ride. Skinner is the diplomat, official government agency, so the admiral is going to keep him close at hand at all times. Key has already done his job. He's already got the release of his friend, Dr. Beans, a medical doctor who lived in Upper Marlboro. When the British marched toward Washington, they took prisoner Dr. Beans because he and his fellow townsmen locked up some British stragglers on their way out of Washington. Watts got heard of this, and he sent out a squadron of British soldiers and arrested Dr. Beans in his home in Upper Marlboro and put him on board a British war vessel. And then he was transferred to the American vessel, and from that point on, for the entire battle, the American truce vessel was kept right close to the admiral's flagship. So if something happened in Baltimore, maybe the Baltimore surrendered, he'd have a State Department official on board. So Key, Colonel John Skinner, is right alongside the admiral's flagship. Here's where it gets interesting. Within the Maryland Historical Society, there are historical watercolor paintings dating to the time of the battle. And in it, we see a small American flag of truce vessel flying an American flag not 4 miles away, down by the bridge. No, he's right up here within a mile of Fort McHenry. And from that vantage point, he witnesses the Battle of of Baltimore. The key buoy was put there because the president of the, gotta be careful how I say this. Well, he was a well-known guy. Everybody loved him. He was big in local politics. He said that's where the buoy was. I mean, that's where Francis Scott Key witnessed the battle, is from 4 miles away near the Key Bridge. So they got together in September of 1914 and dropped this big buoy there. And this has been the site where Key watched the battle from, which is true. But on the final day of the battle, as the British moved closer to Fort McHenry, the Admiral wanted to get up close to the action. So the Admiral moved his ship up closer to Fort McHenry along with the flagship. And so from Coldgate Creek, where Secret Terminal is today, that's where Key actually watched the bombardment, final moments of the battle. And that's where he was able to write the Star-Spangled Banner. From that position at Coldgate Creek, he was allowed to return to Baltimore, where his song was later published. So that is a story that will be coming out in one of the local newspapers this year as they get ready to replace the Key buoy again. What I thought we'd do now is tell you a little about something about the origins of Flag Day. The Stars and Stripes originated as a result of a resolution adopted by the delegate of New Jersey, Francis Hopkinson. I did not know him, but they are close friends with Ross Kimmer, who was chairman of the Continental Navy Board, Marine Committee of the Second Continental Congress at Philadelphia on June 14th, that's the day, 1777, and presented this resolution to Congress. Resolved that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternate red and white, that the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field representing a new constellation. Hopkinson also designed the Great Seal of the United States, which is very important because the colors that he used in the Great Seal is reminiscent of what was actually used in the flag. On September the 11th, 1777, the first U.S. flag that we know as the U.S. flag was carried at the Battle of the Brandywine outside of Philadelphia in September the 11th, 1777. So what do the colors on the flag represent? There are many interpretations of what the colors represent from religious, military, and patriotic organizations. Sentimental writers and patriotic orators have often given meanings to the colors of the flag, but there's only one document that has the true answer. Story is that Ross Kimmer wrote it, but I don't think that's true. On June 20th, 1782, the Continental Congress passed a resolution to authorize a committee to devise a Great Seal of the United States. It is the only known document expressing the colors of the Union. Charles Thompson, friend of Ross Kimmel, Secretary of the Continental Congress, reported the same. I quote, "The colors and the pales, or the vertical stripes, are those used in the flag of the United States of America. White signifies purity and innocence. Red, haughtiness and valor. And blue, the color of the chief, signifies vigilance, perseverance, and justice. The constellation denotes a new state taking its place among the other sovereign powers." In 1794, January, an act makes an alteration to the flag of the United States. Being enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled that from after the first day of May next, 1794, the flag of the United States be 15 stripes, alternate red and white, that the Union be 15 stars, white in a blue field, representing a new constellation. This flag represented the United States from 1795 and 1818, when two new states, Vermont, 1791, and Kentucky, 1792, were added. By June of 1812, there were 3 more states admitted. Ohio, 1803. Tennessee, the Mountain State, 1796, and Louisiana in 1812. These had all been admitted to the flag, but they had not changed the flag yet. So on April the 4th, 1818, trying to keep up, because Congress is very busy. On April the 4th, 1818, Congress authorized the flag would contain 13 stripes for the original states and only add a new star for each new state. So the flag that's flown over Fort McHenry represents the 15 stars and stripes of the country at the time. Well, after the war now, as the country began to move in the west across the Appalachians and into the Ohio Valley, in 1818, April, Congress enacted this legislation, that state, Senate, and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled that from and after the 4th day of July next, 1818, the flag of the United States be 13 horizontal stripes, alternate red and white, that the Union be 20 stars, white in a blue field. And be it further enacted that on the admission of every new state into the Union, 1 star to be added to the Union of the flag, and that after each addition shall take effect on the 4th of July next, succeeding each admission. And that continues so today, since 1959, when Hawaii was admitted to the Union as the 49th, Alaska was admitted to the Union as the 49th star, and in 1959, Hawaii was added to the flag. So for every new flag that is admitted to the Union, like Alaska and Hawaii, the first flag is always flown at Fort McHenry, 1 minute after midnight on July the 4th, before it's flown anywhere else in the world. And that's a tradition that we'll still hold on today. So because of that, the flag flies at Fort McHenry 24 hours a day by special orders of the president. So no matter what happens, the flag is always flown at Fort McHenry day and night. There are only 5 sites in America that are allowed to fly the flag continuously by orders of the White House. It's Fort McHenry, the Iwo Jima Memorial, Marine Corps in Arlington Cemetery, the Washington Monument in D.C. George and Martha still have it. All U.S. ports of entry into this country, and there's one that more than just and all ports of entry into this country. So those are the 5 sites that are authorized to fly the flag continuously. That's what we still try to do today. Now, right now, they're going to probably be raising the big 15-star flag, which I brought a copy with me today. And that's the one we try to fly every day on a clear day and night with our lights upon it. You can see on a clear night about 10 miles away down the Chesapeake Bay. So if you have a flag at home, you'd like to have it flown, come by any day. And the Rangers will be glad to fly the flag for you and give you a certificate that it's been flown there. In 1916, Woodrow Wilson established a national proclamation to make it a flag day. This was followed by a designation in 1949 by an act of Congress signed by the President that designated June 14th of each year as National Flag Day. The original flag was kept by Major George Armistead and his family. His family lived in downtown Baltimore on Monument Street. The Armistead's house was there on Monument Street until 1964, when the Maryland Historical Society decided they wanted that property, so they tore the house down and built the Maryland Center for History and Culture there. So where the Maryland Historical Society is today, that's where the Armistead family lived. Up until 1909, when the Armistead's daughter decided to give the flag to the American government. And in 1909, the flag was transferred from the Armistead family to the Smithsonian, and that's been at the Smithsonian ever since. So what I thought we'd do is get the flag out, have a nice photo opportunity. All we have to do is turn around on our chairs here. We're going to put the flag right down here, and I'll just give you a quick summation of the flag during the battle.